Our political experts are joining me right now for some serious analysis. And Nia Malika Henderson, there's another part of this Time Magazine interview with Trump. I want to get your reaction to this. Let me put it up on the screen. The president-elect is moving the goalposts on some of his pledges, like lowering the price of groceries. It's hard to bring things down once they're up, Trump says. You know, it's very hard. And in addition to repeatedly saying he would bring prices down when he was out there on the campaign trail, listen to what he was saying just last week. Listen to this.
We're going to do things that a lot of people thought. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your prices down. I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
So why do you think Trump is now backing away from that pledge?
You know, it's unclear. I mean, one of the things that's clear is he never really had a plan to actually bring down grocery prices, right? He thinks that tariffs are a magical solution to bringing down the cost of everything. They'll even pay for your daycare, apparently, if you have tariffs. Of course, tariffs are inflationary, so that wouldn't work. Even when he talks about expanding oil production in terms of lowering prices, there are record high of oil production currently. So that doesn't seem to work either. But it is interesting that in this interview, he is suddenly, you know, sort of in reality in many ways, because it is very, very hard to bring down prices once they go up. We'll see what his voters think, and we'll see in 100 days or so what the price of eggs and milk is at the grocery store and what voters think.
Sure, Michael Singleton is with us. Sure, Michael, was Trump being honest with the American people when he said he would bring grocery prices down?
I mean, I think he was honest in terms of wanting to bring grocery prices down, Wolf. But if you look at the data that just came out, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, rose around 2.3%. And so there are some indications across the economy, and a lot of economists appear to agree, there's general consensus here, that the strategies that were put in place maybe 60 days ago, or let's say the third quarter, right? We're in the last quarter of this year, haven't necessarily yielded the results that the Fed chair would have hoped for. And so my question becomes, what type of economy will the president-elect be walking into once he's ultimately sworn in, and what strategies will Republicans attempt to put in play to do what the president argued he would do for several months, which is to bring down that price and cost of living for the American people?
Let me get Kate Bedingfield into this conversation. Do you see an opening, Kate, for Democrats right now, now that Trump is seemingly backing away from his promise, his pledge to bring prices down?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the President Trump is going to learn or relearn, I guess, that it is much more challenging to be president in many ways than it is to campaign for president. And I think the Democrats will have a big opportunity here because the reality is the President of the United States only has limited influence over fiscal policy in this country and limited impact on how much something at the grocery store costs. There are many, many other factors that go into determining what the cost of eggs is. You know, I think Democrats are going to have an opportunity here to lay this at the feet of Donald Trump once he's president. You know, any domestic policy that he puts forward, Democrats will reasonably be able to paint as driving up prices, or at least not bringing prices down, if that is in fact what we see happening here. And it's clear that he is recognizing that a little bit as he's kind of backing off a little bit rhetorically. So yes, they will absolutely have an opening here.
It's interesting, on Capitol Hill, Nia Malika, Senate Republicans who express any concern are facing growing pressure from Trump-aligned forces. Here's one example from Mark Caputo of The Bulwark. Let me put it up on the screen. Shortly after Joni Ernst offered a chilling reception to Pete Hegseth's nomination to head the Department of Defense, she recognized she was in trouble politically with grassroots Republicans calling for her head. How do I make this go away, a flabbergasted Ernst said to an intermediary. And listen to what Senator Lisa Murkowski said about this pressure campaign against Senator Ernst earlier today. Listen to this.
My friend Joni Ernst, who is probably one of the more conservative, principled Republican leaders in the Senate right now, is being hung out to dry for not being good enough. And you're going to get primaried.
So what does this tell you about Trump, how Trump is likely to behave during this next term?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to call in the MAGA dogs. I mean, the MAGA mob. And remember, the MAGA mob are the folks who descended on the Capitol on January 6th and behaved in a very violent way. So if you're somebody like Joni Ernst, there is, of course, the threat of a primary challenge. She's up for re-election in 2026. But there's also a real threat of possible physical danger, right? I mean, given what we know about some of these forces in the MAGA movement, what they have done already, and Donald Trump certainly knows that he has this very vast array of folks out there who are willing to do almost anything to make sure that he gets his way, to make sure that he stays in power, and as well to make sure that Republicans toe the line. So listen, if you're Joni Ernst, you probably are a bit nervous about what it would mean if you stand up to Donald Trump. The MAGA dogs are going to be after you.
These Trump allies are not shy by any means. Republican Senator Shermichael Tom Tillis is warning that this pressure campaign on his colleagues risks backfiring on the Trump administration. Do you agree?
I don't agree with that. I mean, the president-elect received over 90% of Republican voters' support in this election. If voters in their states are calling them and saying, we expect that you support these individuals, that's their job. Those are the people who empowered them to represent them. And if they aren't going to support these individuals, at least have enough decency and respect for the president-elect to say, look, I'm not going to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks. I'm just not going to vote for this person. You don't have the support, Mr. President, choose someone else. But that's not what we're seeing here. And so I understand the frustration among many Republicans, including allies of the president-elect. Make a determination on these things, Wolf, and stop playing games. You're either going to support some of these folks or you are not, but make it clear. Stop saying, I'm going to wait. I need another conversation. How many conversations do you need to make a decision?
Kate, do you foresee Republican senators standing up to Trump amid this very immense pressure campaign that's now underway, even on the most controversial cabinet nominees?
Past precedent would suggest no. And I think the math is very candidly in Donald Trump's favor here. I mean, he can lose 3 senators, so he can lose Murkowski, he can lose Collins, he could lose a third and still get his nominees across the finish line. And a lot of the votes he will need are from Republican senators who need the MAGA base in their states. So, I think the reality is that this will be very challenging for some of these senators to stand up to this really muscular MAGA campaign. And I think what we saw from Senator Ernst around Pete Hegseth is the perfect illustration of that.
All right, guys, thank you very, very much.